Jane came to us after she suffered a femur fracture. She had been on Fosamax for over 8 years and had recently read in the papers that there were reports from the FDA and other areas that her fracture may be related to her usage of Fosamax for many years. Fosamax is a biphosphonate medication, which is similar to Actonel and Beniva. It's a medication that's commonly prescribed for osteopenia and osteoporosis. Recently, there have been studies that were released indicating that there may be a higher number of femur fractures, and the femur is the upper part of your leg between your knee and your hip, that may be related to the usage of one of these medications. So when Jane came in and asked us whether or not we would take a look at her case, we put it through the typical review. And our typical review is that we get the medical records, the pharmacy records, as well as records from her treating physicians. We went through those records. And when you look at a femur fracture, a femur is the strongest bone in the body. Typically, the only time that bone breaks is if you have some sort of significant trauma involving a car accident, also potentially involving a skiing accident, or you fall off of a building or fall from a height. These are not fractures that typically occur for no reason. However, recently there's a new term that has come out with respect to these fractures. They're called atypical atraumatic fractures. They're called atypical because they just sort of happen out of the blue, and they're called atraumatic because it just seems that the person's walking and suddenly they fall, or they fall from a standing height and their femur breaks. As I explained before, the femur is considered to be the strongest bone in the body. Within the femur, there's a specific area called the subtrochanteric area of the femur. That particular area of the femur is actually considered to be the strongest part of the femur. So not only do you have the femur, the strongest part of the body, but now you're talking the strongest part of the actual bone that's the strongest part of the body that's fracturing. Reports have shown that this particular area of the femur is fracturing with a larger number of cases for people who are taking a biphosphonate medication such as Actonel, Beniva, or Fosamax. And when Jane came in, we looked at her case and we saw that she'd been on a medication for more than 5 years, and she was just walking across the driveway in her house. And she turned. She made a simple turn that everybody makes every day when she put her foot down, and she turned, and suddenly before she hit the ground, she felt an incredible pain in her thigh, and then she collapsed to the ground. This is where the atypical portion of the fracture comes in. Most people, when they go to the emergency room, when they go to the hospital with a broken leg, it's that they fell and they broke their leg, or they were hit with something and they broke their leg. In these particular cases, these are people who are just walking around and their leg breaks, they collapse, and they fall to the ground. So instead of having a fall and a break, you have the break and then a fall. And that is what was typical for Jane's case with respect to these types of injuries. We were able to get Jane's case reviewed and get Jane's case into suit. We are continuing on with these litigations because there are many other women who are being affected by this type of an injury with this medication. I'm Matthew McCauley, and thank you for watching.